Let me tell you something nobody wants to say out loud. If you're a man dating in the 30 to 35 age range, you're walking through a minefield. Not because all women in this age group are problematic. Many are incredible partners, but the single ones, the ones still actively dating, there's a reason they're available, and it's usually not the reason they'll tell you. I'm about to explain why this specific age range has become the riskiest dating pool for men and why you need to understand the dynamics before you get pulled into someone else's panic. First, let's address the elephant in the room. The naturally calm, feminine, emotionally stable women in this age range. They're usually already partnered. They got married at 27, 28, maybe 30. They're building families, creating homes, living their lives. The dating pool at 30 to 35 isn't representative of all women that age. It's a specific subset, and understanding this subset could save you years of pain. The 30 to 35 window is an emotionally overloaded period for many single women. They're carrying baggage from a decade of failed relationships. They've been through the party years, the casual dating, the finding themselves phase. Now they're staring down biological reality while processing accumulated disappointments. This creates a pressure cooker of emotions that has nothing to do with you, but will absolutely affect you. I had a client who went on a first date with a 33-year-old woman. Within the first hour, she mentioned her ex 3 times, asked about his 5-year plan, inquired about his thoughts on private schools, and actually used the phrase biological clock, first date. He hadn't even finished his appetizer, and she was already planning their children's education. This isn't connection, it's conscription. The internal deadline effect changes everything about how some women in this age range approach dating. They're not getting to know you. They're racing against time. Every date isn't an exploration. It's an evaluation against a checklist they've been refining since their last relationship failed. Can he provide? Will he commit? Does he want kids? Can this happen fast enough? She no longer tries to get to know a man as an individual. She evaluates him against a pre-built script. Years of disappointment have created a template of what she thinks she needs. You're not a person to discover. You're a series of checkboxes to tick. Income, check. Height, check. Emotional availability, check. Ready for commitment, check. It's like interviewing for a job you didn't apply for. The expectations appear instantly, even on the first date. You're expected to demonstrate stability, emotional maturity, readiness for fatherhood, commitment to monogamy, financial security, and therapeutic communication skills. All before the entree arrive. She's not dating you. She's auditioning you for a role in a play she's already scripted. The role is assigned before you even arrive. In her mind, you're already the emotional support system she needs. The potential husband her parents keep asking about, the future father of the children she's planning. The problem solver for her anxiety. The financial stabilizer for her dreams. The therapist for her past trauma. He walked in thinking it was coffee. She's already furnished the nursery in her imagination. A friend of mine matched with a 34-year-old on a dating app. Before they even met, she sent him a list of non-negotiables, including salary requirements, a timeline for engagement, and her expectation of IVF support if needed. When he suggested they meet first to see if they even liked each other, she accused him of not being serious about finding a life partner. He unmatched. She probably tells people he was just another immature guy. If you don't match the imagined scenario, you get labeled as not good enough immediately. There's no room for organic development, no space for natural chemistry to build. Either you fit the predetermined mold or you're wasting her rapidly diminishing time. The irony is that this pressure destroys any chance of genuine connection forming. Her urgency comes from accumulated disappointments that have nothing to do with you. She's processing the guy who strung her along at 25, the one who cheated at 28, the one who wouldn't commit at 31. You're not just dealing with her. You're dealing with the ghost of every man who disappointed her, and you're expected to prove you're different while racing against her biological clock. The external influences intensify her stress exponentially. Her mother asks when she'll have grandchildren. Her friends are all married with kids. Her Instagram feed is nothing but engagement rings and baby announcements. Online influencers tell her she's a high-value woman who deserves everything immediately. She's not just dating. She's performing for an audience of everyone who's watching her remain single. Some women in this situation want you to jump straight into an accelerated commitment funnel. It's not let's see where this goes. It's where is this going by date 3. She wants to skip the discovery phase, bypass the building phase, and land directly in committed relationship territory. She needs to know right now if you're worth her remaining fertile years. The conversation about values and wanting something real often masks urgency, not depth. It sounds mature. I know what I want now, but it's really fear dressed up as wisdom. She's not more selective because she's learned what matters. She's desperate to lock something down before it's too late. The values talk is really, please don't waste my time like everyone else did. I counsel men who've been in these relationships. They describe feeling like they're failing a test they didn't know they were taking. Every normal relationship pace gets interpreted as reluctance, taking time to develop feelings. You're stringing her along. Want to travel before kids? You're not serious. Need to establish financial stability first? You're making excuses. If you refuse the speed or the pressure, you become the villain. You're immature, afraid of commitment, not a real man. Or the classic, just like all the others. The same behavior that would be considered normal, healthy relationship pacing at 25 becomes pathological avoidance at 33 in her mind. You're not moving too slow. She's moving too fast, but she can't see it through the panic. She sees you as a function, not a person. You're not John who likes hiking and has a great sense of humor. You're potential husband material or possible father figure or financial stability provider. Your individuality gets lost in her need for you to fill a role. She's not falling in love with you. She's falling in love with what you represent for her timeline. Many women in this age range overestimate how young they appear and act. They believe they're still the 27-year-old who had options and time. They post photos from 5 years ago on dating apps. They talk about their young spirit while demanding immediate commitment. They want the dating dynamics of their youth with the timeline pressure of their reality, and it doesn't work. A client showed me messages from a 35-year-old woman he'd been dating for 2 months. She was furious he hadn't introduced her to his parents yet. When he explained he typically waits 6 months before family introductions, she accused him of not taking her seriously and reminded him she doesn't have time for games. 2 months. She wanted to meet his parents after 2 months. It's almost impossible to satisfy all demands from the start. She wants emotional availability, but not weakness. Financial security, but not work focus. Commitment readiness, but not desperation. Parental qualities, but also adventure. Stability, but excitement. Maturity, but youthful energy. It's not a partner she's seeking. It's a mythical creature that doesn't exist. You're expected to solve problems you didn't create. Her trust issues from past relationships. Your job to heal. Her anxiety about aging. Your job to soothe. Her family's pressure. Your job to relieve her career disappointments. Your job to fix. You become less of a boyfriend and more of an emotional janitor, cleaning up messes from before you arrived. Real relationships require time, compatibility, and shared rhythm. You need to discover if your daily habits align, if your communication styles mesh, if your life goals actually compatible beyond wanting kids. Do you handle conflict similarly? Do you have matching energy levels? Do you share financial philosophies? These things can't be determined in the pressure cooker of biological panic. Some women at this age have been so damaged by dating apps and social media that they've lost touch with relationship reality. They've been told they deserve a high-value man without understanding what that means or what such men actually want. They've consumed so much content about not settling that they've priced themselves out of their own market. The dating app statistics are brutal for this age group. Some women still swipe like they're 25, rejecting 95% of men while wondering why the 5% they match with won't commit. They don't realize those top men have options, including younger women, without timeline pressure. The math doesn't work, but acknowledging that would require admitting uncomfortable truths. Men shouldn't fear slowing the pace or taking distance when feeling this pressure. Your reluctance isn't immaturity, it's wisdom. Your hesitation isn't fear, it's intuition. When someone needs you to commit before knowing you, they don't want you. They want what you represent. And that's not love. That's usage. I tell men to watch for specific red flags in this age group. First date mentions of biological clocks, extensive ex-boyfriend discussion, pressure for immediate exclusivity, anger about time wasters, timeline talk before intimacy, parent meetings within months. These aren't signs of maturity. They're signs of panic. The social media pressure on these women is insane. Every scroll shows another wedding, another baby, another happy family. Their younger friends are getting engaged while their older friends are on second kids. They're stuck in the middle watching their options shrink while their desperation grows. This external pressure becomes internal panic, and you become the solution to a problem that isn't yours. Some women in this bracket have developed an almost hostile attitude toward dating. Years of disappointment have made them bitter, defensive, quick to judge. They're not excited to meet you. They're exhausted by the process and resentful that they're still doing it. You represent both hope and probable disappointment, and they treat you accordingly. A buddy of mine dated a 34-year-old who literally had a spreadsheet of requirements, not mental notes, an actual spreadsheet. Income minimums, height requirements, education levels, family background preferences. She showed it to him on date 4, proudly like it was rational. When he suggested it might be limiting her options, she said he couldn't handle a woman with standards. The biological reality creates genuine pressure, and I'm not dismissing that. But that pressure shouldn't become your emergency. Her timeline isn't your responsibility. Her fertility window isn't your problem to solve. You didn't create the situation, and you're not obligated to fix it by rushing into something you're not ready for. The "I know what I want" narrative often masks that they don't know who they want. They know they want marriage, kids, stability, but they don't know you. They can't know you in 3 dates or 3 weeks. But the timeline doesn't allow for actually getting to know you. So, they project their desires onto you and get angry when you don't match the projection. Some women have been single so long in this age range that they've become inflexible. They have their routines, their spaces, their ways of doing everything. Then they expect you to slot into their established life without disruption. They want a relationship without the relationship work of actually merging 2 lives together. The career woman angle adds another layer of complexity. Many successful women in this age range spent their 20s building careers while assuming they could have it all later. Now later has arrived with less time and fewer options than expected. They want you to appreciate their success while also compensating for the time it cost them. I've noticed some women in this bracket approach dating like a business merger. They have PowerPoint presentations worth of requirements. They conduct interviews instead of having conversations. They evaluate ROI on emotional investment. It's strategic but soulless. And men can feel the calculation, replacing genuine connection. The friend's influence at this age can be toxic. Her single friends want company and misery. Her married friends pressure her to catch up. Everyone has opinions about what she should accept, demand, or reject. You're not just dating her. You're dating her entire advisory board, and they all have voting rights on your adequacy. The ex-boyfriend comparison game is strongest in this age range. She's had enough relationships to have a full catalog of comparisons. You're not as romantic as Tom, not as successful as David, not as funny as Mike. She's building a Frankenstein-esque monster of past relationships and wondering why you don't match this impossible composite. Some women have absorbed so much therapy speak by this age that every conversation becomes a psychological evaluation. You're not having a disagreement. You're showing red flags. You're not tired. You're emotionally unavailable. You're not moving fast enough. You have commitment issues. Everything gets pathized when viewed through desperate therapeutic lens. The sexual dynamics at this age are complicated. Some women use sex as a bonding accelerator, trying to create intimacy through intensity. Others withhold it as a test of your serious intentions. Either way, it's strategic rather than organic. The natural flow of attraction gets corrupted by timeline pressure and past disappointments. I had a client whose 33-year-old girlfriend presented him with a literal timeline on their 6-month anniversary. Marriage by year 1, first kid by year 2, second kid by year 4. She'd mapped out their entire future without asking if he even wanted kids. When he suggested this was presumptuous, she accused him of wasting her fertile years. The "all the good ones are taken" mentality poisons everything. Some women in this age range believe any quality man would already be married, so they're either looking for unicorns or settling for problems. They approach every available man with suspicion. What's wrong with him that he's still single at this age? The pressure to be perfect is crushing for men dating in this bracket. You need to be established but not workaholic, emotional but not weak, decisive but not controlling, generous but not trying to buy affection, confident but not arrogant, ambitious but not absent. The balance beam is impossibly narrow, and one wobble means failure. Some women have been through so much therapy by this age that they use it as a weapon. They've learned just enough psychology to be dangerous, diagnosing your attachment style and trauma responses while being blind to their own dysfunction. They've weaponized wellness into a tool for control. The social media comparison at this age is brutal. She's comparing your actual relationship to everyone else's highlight reels. Why haven't you proposed like Sarah's boyfriend? Why don't you plan dates like Emma's husband? Why isn't our relationship Instagram perfect like everyone else's? She's measuring reality against curated fiction and finding you lacking. The family pressure on these women is intense and unfair, but it becomes your problem. Every family gathering is a reminder of her single status. Every holiday is questions about grandchildren. This pressure gets transferred directly onto you. You become the solution to her family's disappointment, whether you signed up for that role or not. Some women in this age range have developed a scarcity mindset that ruins everything. They're so afraid of being alone that they'll try to force relationships with incompatible men. They're so terrified of missing out that they'll pressure good men into premature commitment. The fear creates exactly what they're afraid of: relationship failure. The running out of time narrative makes them take bigger risks with worse men. They ignore red flags they would have run from at 25. They tolerate behavior they should end because at least he wants kids. They'll stay with problematic men because starting over seems impossible. The timeline pressure makes them make worse, not better choices. I've watched men get trapped in these situations. They meet someone nice. There's some chemistry. They start dating. Then the pressure starts building. Small at first, mentions of the future, questions about intentions. Then it escalates. Ultimatums, emotional manipulation, guilt about wasting her time. Before they know it, they're engaged to someone they barely know because the pressure was relentless. The I deserve mentality is strongest at this age. After years of dating, some women have accumulated a list of everything they deserve without considering what they offer. They deserve commitment, provision, emotional support, perfect compatibility. But what do they bring besides demands and timeline pressure? The biological clock conversation is weaponized constantly. You don't understand the pressure women face. You have all the time in the world. It's different for men. These are manipulation tactics designed to make you feel guilty for not matching her panic. Your biology didn't create her timeline, and you're not obligated to sacrifice your pace for her race. Some women at this age have been listening to toxic dating coaches who tell them they read queens who should never compromise. They've been programmed to have impossible standards while offering diminishing value. They're told they deserve everything while being told they should give nothing. It's a recipe for perpetual singleness. The marriage pressure at this age is suffocating. It's not about wanting to be married to you specifically. It's about wanting to be married. Period. You could be anyone who meets the basic requirements. The wedding is more important than the relationship. The status matters more than the connection. I counsel men who've married under this pressure, and many are miserable. They were rushed into commitment before really knowing their partner. Now they're discovering incompatibilities that time would have revealed. But divorce is expensive. Kids complicate everything, and they're trapped in relationships that proper pacing would have prevented. The good man requirements have become absurd by this age. Some women want a man who makes six figures but is always available, who's ambitious but not work-focused, who's experienced but has low body count, who's confident but not intimidating, who leads but always defers to her. Is not a partner they want. It's a customizable robot. The emotional baggage at this age is heavy. Every woman in this bracket has been through relationship trauma, failed engagements, brutal breakups, cheating, disappointment. This baggage affects everything: how she trusts, how she loves, how she argues, how she connects. You're not starting fresh. You're inheriting a complex emotional history. Some women have given up on love by this age and are just looking for practical arrangements. They've been hurt too many times to believe in romance. Now they want stability, security, someone reliable, if not exciting. They're shopping for life partners like they're buying insurance, looking for the best coverage with the least risk. The personality changes that come with panic are dramatic. That cool, fun woman you met on the app, she becomes anxious, demanding, pressuring. After a few dates, the relaxed person from week 1 becomes the stressed person of month 2. The timeline pressure transforms personalities, and you're left wondering who you're actually dating. The friend group dynamics at this age are particularly toxic. Her single friends are either competition or commiseration partners. Her married friends are either smug or recruiting her to their misery. Everyone has opinions about her dating life, and those opinions become pressure on your relationship. Some women in this bracket have been single so long they've forgotten how to be partners. They can date, they can perform relationships, but actually being a partner, compromise, consideration, and collaboration, these skills have atrophied. They want relationships, but don't remember how to actually be in one. The time waster accusation gets thrown around constantly. Don't want to move in after 3 months? You're wasting her time. Not ready to propose after 6 months. Time waster. Need more time to decide about kids? Definitely wasting her time. But rushing into lifelong commitments to avoid wasting time is how you waste your entire life. The catch-22 is brutal. The very pressure that makes her want commitment fast makes her a poor candidate for commitment. The desperation that drives her timeline makes her less attractive as a long-term partner. The panic that pushes for quick decisions reveals the emotional instability that suggests slowing down. I've seen men lose themselves trying to meet these impossible standards. They sacrifice their own timeline, their own needs, their own dreams to accommodate someone else's biological panic. They become fathers before they're ready, husbands before they're certain, music, committed before they're comfortable, and the resentment builds. The reality check some women need at this age never comes. Friends enable them, therapy validates them, social media reinforces them. Nobody tells them that their timeline isn't everyone's emergency. Nobody suggests their standards might be unrealistic. Nobody points out that desperation is unattractive, so they continue the same patterns, wondering why nothing works. The manipulation tactics escalate with age and desperation. Pregnancy scares become pregnancy accidents. Moving in becomes non-negotiable. Meeting parents happens without agreement. The pressure tactics that might have been subtle at 25 become sledgehammers at 35 because time is running out. Some women at this age have been through so many relationships, they've become jaded predictors of failure. They expect you to disappoint them. They're waiting for you to reveal yourself as just like the others. This prophecy becomes self-fulfilling when their negativity and pressure drive away decent men. The conversation about kids becomes a minefield. Want them, but not immediately? You're stringing her along. Don't want them? You've wasted her time even if you were honest, unsure? You're immature. Want them, but need financial stability first. You're making excuses. There's no answer that satisfies except immediate enthusiastic agreement to her timeline. The testing intensifies at this age. She's not just seeing if you're compatible. She's testing if you'll tolerate her demands. Can she pressure you into commitment? Will you accept her timeline? Will you sacrifice your needs for hers? The relationship becomes less about love and more about compliance. Some men make the mistake of thinking this age group means maturity. They assume older means wiser, more stable, less games. But timeline pressure creates its own games, its own instability, its own immaturity. Age doesn't guarantee emotional development, especially when panic overrides growth. The "I've worked on myself" narrative often masks that they've just learned better vocabulary for their dysfunction. They can name their attachment style, but can't change it. They can identify their triggers, but still explode. They've done the therapy, but not the work. Self-awareness without self-improvement is just articulate dysfunction. The provider expectation peaks at this age. After years of independent woman rhetoric, suddenly traditional provision becomes attractive when the biological clock starts ticking. The same women who preached splitting everything 50-50 at 25 now want traditional providers at 35. The convenient flexibility is notable. I've seen good men destroyed by entering these pressure cooker relationships. They wanted love and found obligation. They wanted partnership and found servitude. They wanted connection and found transaction. The timeline pressure transformed what could have been beautiful into something transactional and empty. The pregnancy pressure at this age is extreme. Every month becomes a fertility discussion. Every period is disappointment. Sex becomes scheduled, mechanical, goal-oriented. Romance dies under the weight of ovulation tracking and fertility optimization. You're not making love. You're manufacturing babies. Some women in this age range have had so much casual sex in their 20s that they've lost the ability to bond properly. They've trained themselves to detach, to not catch feelings, to keep things light. Now they want deep connection, but have forgotten how. The very experiences they thought were empowering have become obstacles to what they now want. The strong, independent woman facade often crumbles at this age. The same woman who didn't need a man at 25 desperately needs one at 35. The independence was circumstantial, not philosophical. When the timeline pressure hits, the independence evaporates and the desperation emerges. The social proof anxiety is crushing at this age. Being the only single one at gatherings, having no +1 for weddings, watching everyone else hit milestones. This social pressure becomes relationship pressure. You're not just a boyfriend. You're social validation proof she's not defective. Some women have absorbed so much boss babe content that they approach relationships like hostile takeovers. They're CEO of their life, and you're applying for a position. They interview rather than interact. They evaluate rather than explore. They're so busy being bosses, they've forgotten how to be partners. The fitness decline at this age adds another layer of insecurity and pressure. The metabolism has slowed. The body has changed. The energy has decreased. She's competing against younger women with older bodies. This physical insecurity becomes relationship pressure. Lock someone down before further decline. I tell men to pay attention to how women in this age range talk about their exes. If every ex is a narcissist, an abuser, a cheater, a loser, run. Either she has terrible judgment, she's lying, or she destroys good men with her behavior, then rewrites history. None of these options suggest good partnership potential. The "I'm ready now" declaration usually means I'm panicking now. Ready for what? Ready for whom? Ready how? It's not readiness. It's desperation dressed up as maturity. True readiness is calm, patient, selective. What they're exhibiting is urgent, anxious, and unselective. Some women at this age have been validated by social media for so long that they have no realistic self-assessment. They think they're worth what their filtered photos suggest, not what their reality provides. They've confused Instagram likes with relationship value. The awakening to reality is brutal and becomes your problem. The entitlement peaks at this age because they feel they've paid their dues. They've dated enough, suffered enough, waited enough. Now, they deserve the perfect man immediately, but relationships aren't rewards for time served. You don't deserve a quality partner just because you've been single for a while. The rapid relationship escalation at this age is terrifying. Meet online Monday, first date Friday, exclusive by week 2, meeting parents by month 1, moving in by month 6, engaged by year 1, married and pregnant by year 2. It's relationship speed running, and it crashes as fast as it accelerates. Men need to understand her timeline is not your emergency. Her biological clock is not your countdown. Her panic is not your problem. You can empathize with her situation without sacrificing yourself to solve it. Compassion doesn't require self-destruction. The message needs to be calm but clear. Dating women 30 to 35 requires extreme caution. Not because they're bad people, but because the timeline pressure creates dysfunction. The biological reality creates urgency that destroys the organic development necessary for healthy relationships. Enter these situations with eyes wide open, boundaries firm, and timeline your own. I want to hear from you guys. Have you experienced this timeline pressure? Have you been rushed into commitment? Have you felt the biological clock ticking in someone else's wrist? Drop your stories in the comments. Men need to know what they're walking into, and your experiences could save someone from making a life-altering mistake under pressure. Stay strong, move at your own pace, and remember, her emergency is not your responsibility.